This is the first structure to have had a latrine installed in Puerto Rico, meaning this is the oldest building in the island, and one of the oldest in the entire Americas. It also has cats that go all the way back to the day of Christopher Columbus. You don't believe me? Well, just shut up and keep watching. We're in Old San Juan. In the square just behind the Cuartel Bayaja sits the Casa Blanca Museum. No relation to the movie whatsoever. Now, this mansion took a few centuries to grow from a single building to a collection of separate units. But what you need to know from the start is that this property was completely paid for by the Spanish crown in 1521 for one single dude, Juan Ponce de León. Lucky bastard. There's a twist though. He died before he could move in. Yeah, poor Juan. The problem was that he was so busy conquering and discovering new lands across the Caribbean for Spain, including enslaving native tribes, setting up plantations, and fighting Christopher Columbus' son Diego over his claim to govern Puerto Rico. He had a lot on his shoulders. Until the shit hit the fan in 1521. Ponce de León was wounded in the thigh while battling the Calusa tribe in South Florida in an attempt to establish a settlement. He died in Havana and was later buried in Puerto Rico in the St. John the Baptist Cathedral. Originally, the Casa Blanca was supposed to serve two purposes. One, to house the appointed governor of Puerto Rico, and Juan Ponce de León's spoiled family who inherited this terrain under an agreement known as a capitulation. And two, it was supposed to serve as the principal defense post of the San Juan Bay against naval enemies. This second use didn't last very long, because the mansion is located well inside the bay, allowing invaders significant time and space to attack. But later, in 1539, construction of the San Felipe del Morro fortress on the very gateway of the lagoon started, and it became a much more effective line of defense. The estate has a very beautiful courtyard, with a long water fountain and plenty of trees blocking sunlight. I shot this with an action camera, so I felt like a kid standing on the edge of the fountain to capture shots not even Steven Spielberg could do with all his money. On an interesting note, when Puerto Rico was under Spanish rule before 1898, this courtyard was completely barren. When the Americans took it over, they environmentalized it by planting trees and turned it into a nice garden. Why? Because Spaniards had no taste. Their idea of style and design was extremely plain, reflecting their strict Catholic approach to being humble and disciplined rather than ostentatious or flamboyant like the French. You can tell by the interior decoration of the main house. There are paintings straight out of a horror movie, including cupboards, candle stands, cabinets, and a dining room table with chairs so small you can tell that the Spaniards were a thriving community of midgets that discovered America and conquered half of the world on their own. If you think you have disadvantages, just think of the midget Spaniards who ruled the planet for about 2 centuries and you'll feel better. Look at this. The Spanish loved to brag about how Catholic they were. They had a mini chapel with a kneeler facing a crucifix and a music stand to sing praises to the Lord. And they had this set up right next to the master bedroom, which has a bed where no sex ever happened, and a hatch on the floor where slaves slept. Okay, that part isn't true. The tunnel was probably an escape route when San Juan was attacked, but what do I know? The estate includes pets that have been here since the 1500s. Although that isn't entirely true, it is true that the first felines brought to Puerto Rico rode during Christopher Columbus's journeys. So I don't doubt that this adorable little cat is the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson 10 times of the first Meowkistador. The kitchen is interesting. It was smaller than I thought it would be, but with the well-preserved kitchenware, the lack of a refrigerator, and no microwave, I don't think the FDA would approve the type of meals cooked here. Nothing beats the view from the balconies. If I were living here, I'd go to sleep naked and do my stretches in the morning out here flipping everybody. I'm sure some Spaniard did that back in the day, as the female slaves took care of the garden. The upper floor of the main house has a little room that displays Casablanca's history and preserves relics of the type of clay and concrete used over the past 5 centuries from when this structure was built, expanded, and remodeled. Is it usually empty and peaceful in Casablanca? For the most part, yes. Also, this setting is used to celebrate weddings and private events. So if you're a local or an outsider who likes learning about antique structures with significant historic background, you need to visit Casablanca. You will want to go back home and tell your friends that you walked on a property that is older than any other in the entire United States and most of the American continent. The purpose of travel is to enjoy yourself, learn something new, and brag about the places you've been to. The Casa Blanca Museum guarantees all three. Just please, be respectful of this property and obey the rules. I'm Don Luis Zavala. Thank you for your time.